right. Well, I'm Scott Hamilton with Rockfile Radio. It's a pleasure to meet you online here today, Simone.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of the band, so this is a wonderful thing, and I've had an advance listen to the album, so it's all, excellent. But I did want to introduce people to you here in our country. So even though my radio stations reach the world, I want to help break you guys in the U.S. bigger. So
thank you.
So you're an amazing guitar player. Since your father is a guitarist, when you were growing up, was there an idea to do anything else with your life, or did you just genuinely follow music because of your father?
No, it was actually not in my life, because until I think I was 15, I really didn't want to play any instrument. I was the biggest Michael Jackson fan, like the biggest. And I remember I was trying to mimic, the videos and the live shows, and that was my only interest in music. But then I remember, but my father was constantly playing guitar and bass at home. Israel, like Creedence. How do you say? That's the name.
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
The Cream with Jack Bruce and Eric Clapton fan. He's the biggest fan of that kind of music, and up to Deep Purple. I think he stopped buying records. I remember he told me when I heard Van Halen 1. To me, it was too much, like too heavy, too fast. So I stopped. But I was always surrounded by Eagles and all that kind of music. And I think I can remember and sing and play every song from that kind of music, because it was constantly popping out to my ears. But I remember when I was 15, I went to an actual concert with my father. He was not playing, but we went to see a guitar player, and he was singing and playing guitar simultaneously. It was kind of sort of like blues, kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of stuff. And I was so amazed. And after the day, I started playing guitar, and I never stopped. Like I was playing like 10 hours per day, the usual story that every guitar player has,
right,
playing every day. So yeah, it's thanks to my father for sure. But it wasn't like when I was 6 years old that I started. I started seriously. I started when I was 16, 17 years old.
Right.
Sorry for my English. I'm Italian, so
Oh no, you're doing very well.
Okay.
So you were working in studios and stuff, and then joined the band about 2005, 2006. With that big studio background, and you've kind of taken over because the last couple albums you've produced and everything. So how has your songwriting changed over the years as you started learning to craft your own songs, because they've gotten quite epic?
Oh, thank you. I mean, I hope it's a good thing. And
yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I started working in the studio around 2003. No, probably before, like 2000, almost 20 years. And yeah, I always had this thing of recording myself, even with the old 386 computers. Like the first sequencer, I remember I could do only 4 tracks. So I was doing mono drums, 1 bass, and 2 guitars, like writing riffs and experimenting with songs, with sounds. Like I was always fascinated by. I had everything, like the pod. I don't know if you're how much technical I can go here, but
oh yeah,
all the kind of guitar amps, digital stuff, plugins. I always been into that thing, equal to the guitar playing. Like
right.
Same amount of time I was spending on technical stuff, I was spending the same amount of time trying to get cleaner and faster and whatever. And so I've always been recording myself since day one. And I think that's crucial for every musician, because you learn to be more objective when you're playing. You record yourself and then you listen back, and you learn the things that you want to improve, and from the recordings. And nowadays it's hard for me to judge how the songwriting process has changed, because to me it's always writing a song. It doesn't change. The only thing that changes now is that many times when I record ideas, they finish in the finished, because I have the gear and the possibility of recording a great tone from the beginning, even a tone. I have my amp set up, and if I have a solo idea, I can plug up in the evening and record it. And the only thing that changed a lot was that 15 years ago, I was recording demos, and then I was going to the studio to properly recording.
Right.
And it was a struggle. You know, sometimes you have an idea, you're fresh, and you record this great thing. I'm talking about guitars here, but also with vocals and stuff like that. And then you go to the studio. It was a struggle, a nightmare, because I had to relearn the part and trying to play properly. And most of the time I was like, the rough demo was better. And why can I play this exactly? And nowadays it's different because, for example, the latest album was the first time that all the solos I never re-recorded. They are the solos that were in the demo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not recorded in a few minutes. Sometimes it takes like 2 days, you know?
Right.
Sometimes I struggle because you know, for me, the most difficult thing is to record myself. That's why I have my assistant most of the time coming here to my place. When I'm struggling too much with a part, I call him and please record me so I can lay in the couch playing, focusing only on guitar. And I don't overthink about the parts. But about the songwriting, that was your question. I don't think it's changed. It's just me sitting down. Most of the time I have ideas while I'm driving and I'm recording on the phone. And usually they are horrible because it's a riff idea sang, you know, like dun, 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 stuff like that. And then I try to figure it out when I sit down on the computer. But of course, the studio work helped me tremendously in crafting the songs because I'm super fast in, I don't know, programming drums and editing. So I can see when and most of the time, my drummer always says this because, oh, your demo sounds better than the final album. So it's not, they always feel the pressure because I really love to have the songs, the demo version of the song to sound great, you know? So when I go to work in the studio, in the car, I can listen back and I have the final vision of the song, you know? And rather than having a rough demo with a bad guitar played bad. So I'm always super critic on every note and every stuff. So I think that knowledge from the studio helping on crafting the songs, you know? Because a lot of times the sound makes a part. You know, sometimes you have a super easy riff, like but if you have a great sound, a big drum sound, okay, then the riff is great. You know?
That's all you need, right?
Exactly.
And that's where the professionalism comes in, knowing. I've heard a lot of musicians say sometimes it's what you don't play and what you leave out that helps make the song.
I still have to learn this because I'm always
more notes, faster.
Exactly, you're right.
Well, one of the things
tell this to the bands that I produce, but I never do for myself. I gotta learn.
Well, and it's funny, between the albums over the last few years, from Momentum to Passage to the new one that's coming out Friday, you do take time between the albums to work with other artists. Either you play with them or you go on a quick tour or you produce somebody or whatever. How does that recharge you to get back with the boys and do what you do?
I think it's crucial. I mean, it's really important to be, I don't know in English, stagnant. Is that a word?
Stagnant, yes. You can stagnate in a relationship if you don't evolve.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about. And if you only do the same thing over and over with the same people, even if we are like family, because we're playing together since. I mean, it's not nowadays. It's not common that a band sticks with the same lineup for this long, you know. And we're always super friends outside business. We call each other. Unfortunately, we live very far from each other, but we call every week. How you doing and stuff like that. And that for me at least, having different outputs, different stuff, situation outside the band, it's really important, as you said, recharge batteries and sometimes you do something and you see even the workflow is different, and when you come back, oh, now I'm even more happy to do my own stuff so I can do how I want, you know.
Right.
But I think in the past, I feel nowadays, I feel that in the past years I did too much stuff. Like nowadays I really want to focus on my stuff. The band, and so I don't think I'll do more albums with other bands in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, studio works. Then the one thing I love, it's two different things. One thing I love is to play on other people's album, because I'm not involved in songwriting. I don't have the responsibility of writing the stuff. So if someone calls me and they like how I play, then it's great. So I can play different stuff and experimenting different things in the guitar and stuff like that.
Right.
But then if I have to produce an album completely, like I did a few albums with Frontiers, then it's really more hard for me, because every time you have a song, I'm thinking, is this maybe too good? Should I keep this for my band? And also I'm not I know a lot of colleagues and friends that are writing all day, like they're writing new songs every day, and I feel that I have a limit, like I can tell when I'm reaching the point when I'm going repetitive. So trying to stay away from writing and producing some stuff for a few months a year, I think will be great for me to recharge my inspiration and stuff like that. But who knows? Maybe next year I will be super happy with another singer and do something like, I don't know. That's how I feel now.
And talking about working with other people, on Momentum, you worked with Russell from Symphony X. On The Passage, you worked with Tom from Evergrey. Are there any other, vocalists or other musicians out there that you would like to work with and bring into the DGM thing for a song?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned when I was doing promo for The Passage, I always mentioned that all the guests that we had in the past, they were all of them, they're friends, I'm super friend with Tom and with Russell, and even outside the bands and the music business. So it's really great for me to have those guys singing on my song. First, because they're my heroes,
Right.
Those are the guys that I listen to every day.
Mm-hmm.
And second, because it's we're really not fan of having guests just because you can sell more copies. Because I really like to have guests that I know personally. That's my main thing. Mm-hmm. And I'd have a lot of people that I would love to have on my album. First, Yngwie. I'm a biggest.
I've read that about you.
and I mean, not lately. I'm not the biggest fan of what he's doing lately, but yeah, he's one of my biggest hero. And Jorlande is probably the favorite singer of everyone in the band. And I also wrote a few songs for him with Frontiers, but this time we felt that we didn't have the need of a singer, because usually with Tom or with Russell, we had a certain song and we told to ourselves, hey, can you imagine this song sang by him? And then we tried to reach for it, the guy. But this time we had all these songs, and we didn't need we didn't felt the need of reaching for someone else. I have this guy, I don't know if you know him, Dino Jezulic. Mm-hmm. He's a singer, and it's becoming one of my greatest friend in music business, and he's a great voice. And I hope we will do something together in the future. I don't know if it will be a DGM guest or something else, but I love great voices like raspy, like Ronnie Dio kind of singers. Yeah. So those are the big names that come to my mind when I think about future guests.
Well, let's talk about the new album. It comes out on Friday, gets its release. Yeah. Momentum is about the time that I first heard you guys. I guess that was when Mark joined the band and there was a bigger push, and that first big video, I was just like blown away. Then The Passage I got, wow. And finally, a few weeks ago, I got Tragic Separation, and I got to tell you, this is probably my favorite work so far.
Oh, finally, because all the people, the new album is great, but Momentum was better. I think that all the time. Everybody has his own favorite, of course, but personally, I think this is the every musician always say the same thing. The latest album is the best and stuff like that.
Right.
But honestly, this is the first time that I can listen back to the album after it's finished, and I really enjoy it. You know, I put it in the car and I enjoy the songs. I enjoy the performance of the other guys, and I'm happy with it. And I really hope that people will appreciate it.
Now here's a question that goes to the album, all the albums and the songwriting and such. The thing I love about the band is, and this comes from when I first heard you, you don't shy away from doing a 2.5 minute hardcore technical intro and then get into this super melodic, singable, tap my foot kind of thing. And there's this famous quote from Geddy Lee who says, it's easier to write the 12-minute prog epic than it is the 3 or 4 minute hit song. So you guys seem to have feet in both worlds. You make those gearhead musician nuts happy because you've got the guitar pyrotechnics and you take long instrumental breaks and things like that. But then you also have this songwriting that could fit right next to Journey or Boston or some classic, songs that you hear on the radio and stuff. How do you find bands go in the studio and it's usually a producer who's telling them, we got to get this down to like under 4 minutes, but you're also the producer. And so, some of these songs go 6-7 minutes because you have these long intros and these long instrumental passages, but still the songs are hummable, singable, and would be played well on the radio. DGM is a unique thing in this area. So I'm just trying to get into your head how you put all this together.
This is the best compliment that I've ever received. I mean, I've been having
bands like Symphony X, they're technical and they're melodic and they do, but they're more that epic prog metal thing. You guys are kind of a unique entry in the fact that as a radio programmer for 35 years who started his own internet radio stations to promote new music because everything's kind of going nostalgia in the radio world. And I think if we don't support new bands now, we're not going to have classic bands 25 years from now. So I've been on the search for stuff that can be played on the radio. You know what I mean? From all other countries. And you guys, like I said, you straddle that fence of you're not so technical that you're in the Dream Theater Symphony X for the entire song, because you get into something that's very hummable, memorable, sticks in your head. You guys have hooks like pop songs,
I mean, that's the most difficult. That's why it's a nightmare doing DGM for me, at least, because it's, as you said, balancing the two elements. It's super difficult because the first thing that I might don't care. I mean, I don't care if it's a song, it's 8 minutes, it's 6, 4. I really never watch the length of it's done. If I have a riff that has to be done twice because I like it, I do it. I don't care about the radio. We're not rock stars. We're not millionaires. So I don't have a producer upon me that say, you got to do this, you got to do that. And what makes me happy about what you said is that we probably starting to have our own personality in this, our identity in doing this. And the main reason is that I get bored really quickly about things. So if I will play Journey is one of my favorite bands, but if I have to play Journey, I probably get bored in 10 minutes because it's I don't want to say easy because it will be my dream to play like them, but you know what I mean,
right,
without having fast riffs or technical solos. But then the main goal of the band since day one probably is to be singable. That's the main goal. Even if we have, like, as you said, like the first song of the new album has a super long intro with tapping and ridiculous, stupid technical stuff. But it's not the great part of the song. To me, the great part of the song is the chorus, is how the vocal builds up until
it lifts everything up. And right,
exactly. And that's the most difficult part. That's where I spend because doing the technical part really takes 5 minutes. You sit down, you take an exercise, and you make a song out of the exercise. But then personally, I get bored after 1 minute, So and everybody in the band listened to the classic bands from the 80s, like from Van Halen, from Journey. Every time we went to a concert and we have on a bus or stuff like that, you bet we always and only have Kansas, Journey, and you know, the Bon Jovi, the big anthems of
Right.
rock. And we just we just have this goal. It's hard to explain for me because I never analyzed the process. It just came naturally, you know. But we really want to have every song to be singable, because when you go live, people won't sing the fast solo line. They will sing the chorus. They will sing the pre-chorus, the bridge, and that was, for me, that what makes a great song. You know, and that's what I'm trying to do even with solos, guitar solos. Like back then, when I listen back to the songs and the albums I was doing 10 years ago, it was way more like tapping and stuff like that, you know. And nowadays I find myself playing, there are technical parts, but a lot of solos are more like long notes and lyrical style and stuff like that. And that's what I like now. So I think we'll go more and more to the song-based style. And even if we write simple song, like for example, the next single will be "Surrender," the second song. It's a super catchy song, but still you have some cool riffs underneath, and it's not like straightforward E with the same riffs over and over. Right. So I always try to get the music parts not intricate, but interesting. For myself, but on top of that, having like melodic vocals. That's our goal with every song. Sometimes it's 100% on spot, and sometimes, you know, when I listen back to the catalog, I shouldn't have do those like 2 minutes in the middle of the song. But you know, it is what it is.
But like you said, self-editing is a big part of a musician's job. I know in radio, we air check our disc jockeys. We record their breaks, and then we sit down with them and we listen together. And I've always told disc jockeys, if you take that tape and go listen to it yourself, you're going to hear all the ums or all the, you know, the pauses you put in and things like that. So I totally get that, you know, that you listening to your own music. I interview a few actors here and there, and some of them don't want to watch their movies because they don't want to see themselves act, but others are into the craft and want to get better, so they do watch their performances and things like that. What can you tell me about Tragic Separation? You haven't really, with The Passage, it wasn't a concept album, but there was kind of a theme and things. So what about Tragic Separation? What are we trying to say with this album?
It's lyrically, it's really 100% Fabio, the drummer. And it's the first time in our career that he is doing everything about the lyrics. And
wow.
And it's not common that a drummer writes the lyrics.
Well, it worked for Rush. So
right. So cut this part. Really. No, but but in the metal community, you know, you don't find that many drummers writing,
not
usually,
at all.
at least. And I actually wrote all the songs prior the decision of doing a concept album. So they were all like single songs. And but then he came up with this idea of this journey through life. You really should talk about the lyrics and the philosophical concept behind them, because is the guy behind them, you know. But it's mainly this journey from the first day of the life of this character until the end. The final song is Curtain, you know. The curtain is closing, and all the struggles in decisions in life you have to take outside the family, when you go out of family. And he was born basically because he had the news during the songwriting that he was waiting for the third baby. He has 3 kids.
Nice.
So he wrote the old concept during the 9 months of his wife waiting, you know. And he wrote the very last lines the day before his kid was born. So the album became a concept, but it's not a concept in the regular like the albums that I love, like Operation Mindcrime and Shadow Gallery Tyranny, you know. When I don't think I will be ever able to write something like that, because you have to write a whole like theatrical musical. Broadway is kind of, you know, like a musical thing. But I don't feel confident enough to embark in a process, maybe in the future. But yeah, lyrically, I think it's the first time that we really spend more time on lyrics compared to most of the sometimes, especially I wrote some of the lyrics in the past, and I was more into the like Wisnake feel, like Baby Baby and stuff like that. It's not that
Right.
I love those songs, but I have to admit that I'm really not the best lyricist in the world. So it's just a matter of knowing your limits.
Mhm.
And in the passage, we asked a friend of mine outside the band to write a few songs because, when you know that you're not great in something, it's okay to ask for help to someone else.
Absolutely.
So, and also we have this language problem because it's hard to write lyrics in not your native language.
Hmm.
You can know all the words in the world, but putting together sentences that make sense is not easy.
Right.
That's why I'm struggling now talking with you.
I think you've done great. And that was one of the first things when I heard the band. They're Italian, really? I mean, all the lyrics are in English, So what are some of your favorite songs on the new album? Because the whole world's going to get a chance to dig into this thing this weekend.
um, for sure, the first two are the first one because it brings me back to the Momentum era. A Reason, that kind of fast double bass, and it was a while that we had some power metal, more fast song, but in that BPM, we were writing something like that. And I think it has a great chorus, a great hook, and the same for the second one.
And how about that video? That was
the video was
massive.
I mean, honestly, I'm being totally honest with you. When we're not, as I said before, we're not a super big band with big budgets. So we always try to do the best we could do with the budget and the status we have. This time, I think that the director outdid himself, because he really crafted the first time I saw it, I was like, really? And yeah, the next video will be really different with us playing, but because the song demanded something different.
Right.
The first one is more epic and you have these big landscapes and stuff like that, while the second video will be more like us playing, together the song, more rockish vibe. But I think my favorite is Hope, the fourth song. Hope and Tragic Separation are my favorite, but they're not commercial. I mean, none of them are commercial in a radio perspective, but Tragic Separation is a long song, but I think it has the title track has all the elements that all the elements of DGM today, super melodic, heavy riffs, and solos between keyboards and guitars, and all those elements that we try to keep in every album.
You brought up it's not commercial, and that's something obviously that my career has been. When I'm a music fan. I was a trumpet player growing up, so I can still read and write music, and that's given me the ability to listen to whether it be pop music or urban music or country music or whatever, to know a good song is a good song, and other things are product or whatever. But we talk about what's commercial in 2020 with the COVID thing and everything else. I'm seeing more artists, not just bands, but more artists get what they want out there because they're not having to worry about the traditional ways of releasing a CD or a digital copy. Are you guys thinking about that when you're doing these videos? I know some of this stuff was in the works long before because you've been working on the album a while and things like that. But how is this changing as a band, how you're going to think about going forward? Because it's still going to be a while before we get to normal, and you still got to keep the quote unquote momentum going, and you've got to, with your career and your projects and all that. How is this COVID thing affecting your thinking about all that?
I mean, going back to the first part of your question about commercial, I don't think it was never intended that we write let's write a 4-minute song for the radio. It was never a plan. And also when we did, for example, Flesh and Blood video, the director called me and, come on, man, it's like 8 minutes. Can you give me a song of like 4? How can I fill up 8 minutes with the budget you gave me, something like that. But I told him, hey, it's a good song. I don't care, and a lot of people video director in the past asked me, "Hey, can you radio edit the song?" And I was no, because I don't care. I mean, the song was born in that way, you know. How can I cut a part? The part is important for the build up of all the song. So, and going back to the COVID thing, I really don't know. It's a new
Mm-hmm.
world for everyone. I don't think it will change my way of conceiving music. And you know, I did 8-minute songs. I did 3 minutes. I don't think I ever did 3-minute songs. But
maybe some guitar work that was 3 minutes. But
yeah, exactly. But actually, if I, honestly, a lot of time I start a song thinking, okay, this time I want this to be short and effective, and then it's never like that, because maybe I have a riff that I like a lot and I like to repeat and change key, and maybe you half down the drums, and maybe that's why it's called progressive, because you change a lot of, it's not only the odd meters and stuff like that, because we're not a band that plays 7/13. We're quite straight in the measures. But I see what you mean, because a lot of artists that I know, even having the studio and seeing a lot of bands every day, a lot of them now are quitting the labels, and putting out the music by themselves, and that gives you total 100% freedom of choosing which one is the single. And Spotify, people can listen. A single could be 13 minutes or 3 minutes, and we still are personally, I'm still in the old school mentality that I have to do an album, like 10 songs. But it's just the way I grew up, like for all my life, I've been having the album in my hands with 10 songs. But I'm seeing a lot of people putting out singles. They have 3 songs and they like 3 songs. Okay, record 3 songs. And I'm doing more and more works in the studio like that. I honestly don't know how the market and the business, how will go in the future. Probably a record label owner knows better than me.
Right.
But as a musician, I just keep doing whatever I do. So whenever I have a good idea, I write it down or I record it. And when I have 10 good songs, I put out an album.
I'm exactly the same way. I grew up with albums. And when I got into radio, radio is a singles-based thing. I would always go back to the label and say, okay, you want me to play this band? Can I get the whole album? Well, we want you to play that song. Yes, but if I'm going to get behind a band for the next couple of years as they progress and with your label, and I want to hear the whole album. I'd like to see them live if possible, that kind of thing. Because for me as a fan, and I want to get into it, that kind of thing.
And it's supporting what you say. It's really important for me that whenever the label, all the time we do an album, this label or the previous label, they always not forced, but they discuss with you which single we should choose for me, it's always a struggle, because how can you judge DGM from the song number 1 on the album Flesh and Blood, what if people hear Animal, for example? They think you're playing kind of rockish, heavy, straightforward song, but we're not playing that. We're playing a lot of different stuff. So for me, it's hard to judge a band and choose just one song. That's why before I said Tragic Separation was my favorite song, because probably has a lot of the majority of the elements that represents the band. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
Oh, no. I'm listening, because we kind of, with the whole Spotify thing, that's kind of pushing things to be more single oriented too. And I know Spotify doesn't work for musicians like it does for a listener. And I applaud someone who continues to stick to their guns and put out albums, and this is my work. And like you said, one of the positive things that have come out of this is I'm seeing more artists do just that. This is what I want to put out. This is not the plan for the next 2 years of touring and all that. This is some songs I worked on. Here you go. And I think when you saw that in the past with people like Prince or Trent Reznor with 9 Inch Nails, the work, not all of it was multi-platinum wonderful stuff, but I understand as an artist you got to get that stuff out. If a song is in your head, if you don't get it recorded, if you don't get it laid down somewhere, it sticks in there and it festers or whatever. And so I don't know. It would be interesting to see you guys release something here and something there, because I'm so used to that album experience, because I like putting on an album and getting all of the emotion and that travel from point A to the 10th song or whatever.
I mean, there's also been this discussion, debate on the internet. A lot of people send me the news that Spotify chief, CEO was saying, artists should do more stuff if they want to earn money. But for me, it's not. I mean, honestly, it's not my only job. I have the studio. I'm producing bands. That's my main income. So I'm mostly doing music for the passion of doing, for the sake of the passion of listening back to my songs and be satisfy my musical ego with my ideas. And so I don't think this will change stuff for us as a band, because we're not depending entirely on the band, So it's economically. I mean, and
it gives you the freedom to do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's, of course, you always hope to earn millions from your music, But I'm being realistic in the past, especially in the past 5 years, and I see how the music business goes, and I really prefer to stick on what I want to do, having the total freedom rather than putting out one song every 3 months, because even if I'm not satisfied, because I have to earn more money and stuff like that. So, and also there are contracts. So if the contract says that with the label that you have to put out albums, we're not allowed, So we're not totally free to put out single stuff, and we'll see what happens. Things change so fast, like every 6 months is something new that I really don't know.
And with a new album coming out, this will be the point of the conversation where we start talking about tours and stuff, but we can't, that's all up in the air at this point. So
yeah, it's been the first time ever in my life that I have an album out and we don't have any shows planned, like not even in the next months, because especially in Italy, nobody wants to, all the promoters and agencies, nobody wants to risk, so they're just postponing and on hold, in standby, just waiting for the world to reach a normality.
At least enough that you can tour and such, right?
Exactly. I'm seeing every day all my friends and colleagues postponing their tour. Oh, it was November this year. Oh, it's April. And for us, it's no point doing that. We just wait for things to get better, and then when there will be the opportunity, we cannot wait to play live. And
right,
of course, it's the main thing for us, going out on the road and play in front of people.
Well, as a longtime fan, I got to thank you. A few years ago, you finally released a Blu-ray that had 2 live shows, and I did see you at Prog Power. But it's nice to have something at home. I am from Atlanta originally, so I've been to Prog Power more than I haven't been each year, and very sad that we're not doing it this year. So
okay. Yeah, Prog Power is our I want to say, I don't want to say my second home, but I've been there 3 times, and
yes,
and it's one of the best experiences ever as a band,
Well, with so many like-minded bands and like-minded fans, it's kind of it brings people from all over the U.S. and all over the world into a like-minded situation that we don't always get over here. Most of the things are big tours and things like that. You don't get to meet the bands and hang out with them for a weekend. And
also, I was saying the same in the previous interview 1 hour ago. And when they asked me what was one of the highlights of DGM career, and the first thing came to my mind was Prog Power, both times, because it's really hard, especially in Europe, to find a place when 100% of the people knows the band and support the band, And I mean, probably not 100%, but most of
but pretty close.
Yeah, I'm seeing from forever. I'm seeing all the opening band being snubbed. Is that English? I don't know.
Snubbed,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I go to concert and when I play festivals, I can see all the people. We don't care about the first bands. We're just here for the last band of the day. And I mean, of course, it's normal. You sometimes you pay the ticket to see Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath, and Iron Maiden, of course.
Right.
But there are a lot of great bands that are there to discover. And Prog Power to me was, the whole thing it's incredible. And having the chance last year, no, 2 years ago, to headline it with Redemption, even if it's not my band.
I know, how cool was that?
Yeah, it was, to me.
You looked like you were having fun.
Yeah, I was. I mean,
as you discussed earlier, you were a guitar player. It wasn't your band. It wasn't your songs. You were a hired gun, basically. But you were.
It wasn't that I was playing like 2 chords. It was like it's really tough music. So it wasn't that kind of fun when you have like 5 beers and you go on stage. It's different. But yeah. Anyway, jokes apart, it's a wonderful place, and I really hope. I was speaking to Glenn some weeks ago, and he had the album DGM. I was speaking with him that it's really time for us to get back one more time, So
at least
I hope it will happen.
Well, I know you've got other interviews planned, and we spent a long time on the Skype today, but it was a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait to meet you in person one day and shake your hand and have a beer or whatever. Good luck with Tragic Separation. I've been listening to it for a couple of weeks, and I love it. I think a lot of people are going to love it.
Thank you for having me and for the great questions. It's always great to talk to people that really appreciate your stuff.
Well, and with all this stuff going on, maybe we'll have a chance to talk again real soon.
Hit me up whenever you want.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Give our best to the guys. Keep releasing great. Keep playing it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.